Recording in progress.
Hi everyone, you're watching The Culture Cave. I'm Gabriella White. Joining us very shortly on this new conversation series is Scott Fields, a new spiritual teacher who's going to be joining me in a number of series. I'm very excited to have this very special human being on the show. Before he joins us, this is going to be his YouTube debut, his first ever broadcast, first time speaking about anything spiritual. So let's give him a warm welcome to the show. This is a spontaneous interaction, so this is going to be unscripted, as my series and broadcasts often are. Before Scott joins us, we're actually going to do a short silent meditation while we're just waiting for him to connect from a different time zone, and all will be revealed. So thank you very much for joining. If you're watching today, I'm Gabriella White. This is the Culture Cave Conversation Series returning 2023. Joining us very shortly is spiritual researcher, soon to be teacher and craftsman, Scott Fields from America, from Illinois. So while we wait for him to join the show, and I will explain why he's joining the show, I'd just like everyone to join me in a very short meditation, which will just be a completely silent meditation, unguided, but I will be starting the meditation until Scott joins us. So if everyone just sits in a lotus position or just a comfortable sitting position, relax the shoulders, roll the shoulders back, take a deep breath in and out, a deep exhale. Hello, Scott.
Okay.
Hello.
Start video. Can you hear me now?
Hi, welcome.
Hi.
Thank you for joining. Oh my goodness, I was just about to start the meditation while we were waiting, but
Go ahead and start it, and we can meditate together.
Yeah, why not? Shall we do a couple of minutes? So I was just saying to the audience, let's roll our shoulders back and let's close our eyes for just a moment and just take a few deep breaths and getting into the moment of today's conversation. Just sitting comfortably, just allowing ourselves to be. Namaste. Super.
Namaste. Thank you.
Short meditation.
I needed that to kind of get my energy right, you know.
Yeah, so welcome Scott Fields to the show. I've just done a little introduction, actually, just explaining that all will be revealed when you join the call. So we're gonna
that was a good one.
we're gonna start right from the very beginning, I guess. So we've been talking recently and talking, and I thought I have to invite you to the show because we have so many deep topics to delve into. So this is kind of, as we were talking about, this is like a kind of unscripted, very free flow conversation series. We're just going to see where it takes us, because like so far our conversations have taken us in all kinds of fascinating directions.
For sure.
Yeah. So
never run out of things to talk about, that's for sure.
For sure. So we've really resonated on so many different topics in quite a short space of time. But I want to start at the very beginning and just kind of talk to our audience a little bit about your wake-up call, which happened, and what, you know, how that kind of affected your perception of reality. So could you tell us a little bit about that?
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. And please excuse my nervousness. It's my first time on video, so.
All right.
But anyway, like I grew up, I was mostly a scientific kind of guy most of my life, and always needed a reason to, you know, for everything, just learn as much as I could about science, and not really a religious guy, but I guess just in a nutshell, you know, I just got to a really low spot, and I don't know, I guess I felt like LSD might show me some things, you know, just because I had nowhere else to turn. And so I took some LSD one night, and at first, I mean, the first like real experience or touch that I had with spirituality, it was like, it wasn't a full-on experience. It was like a glimpse. I woke up like the next morning with like a knowledge, feeling of knowing how everything fit together. And so the whole next day I'm just thinking about it, trying to figure it all out, you know. And then of course, like with LSD, it fades after, you know, every day you get a little less confident in what you know. It's like, oh, I know that's real, you know, right after, but after over time it's like, oh, was that real or not, you know? So I don't know, a couple weeks go by, and so I decided to do it again, and this time I had it was just it was a vision, but it was more like a feeling, but it was complete oneness with everything. Like I remember, you know what yin yang is, right? It was like the Vesica Pisces, like that shape. It was like just half of a yin yang. It was, like I said, it's hard to put into words. So it was like a vision, but more of a feeling. But it was, so I seen like half of a yin yang, and it was just spinning around, you know. And then I realized that that was myself.
Wow.
And so, you know, I kind of went into it and embodied it, and then I seen another, like the other half of the yin yang, like in a, I don't know if it's in a distance, like, you know, space and time were kind of irrelevant, but I seen another, you know, the other half, and I don't know, I just felt drawn to it, so I kind of went towards it, and we started just dancing around, you know, each other like a yin yang would, you know. Wow. And when it merged, it just hit me like everything, like my ego just was obliterated, and I just felt at one with everything.
Wow.
And that just pretty much it, you know. And then the next day, of course, is just amazing trying to process all this, and it woke me up to something that, you know, that my higher self had been trying to show me my whole life, but, you know, I never really took the time to look. But from that, it just spawned, you know, so many other things. Like I started learning as much as I could about spirituality, and just delving into everything, and just and still even today I'm amazed every day. I learn something new.
Yeah, that thirst for knowledge, I suppose, when you have such an experience, gets so strong when you're trying to make sense of it, right?
Yeah, it's like I explained it to my friend before, but that's once before. It's like when and there's the thing about when you do it like the way I did with LSD, it like conscious or source, reality, universe, whatever, kind of drops you on the top of a mountain, and you're on the top of the mountain, you're on top of the world, and like this is how I felt anyway. And it was like, and so immediately the next day, I started to change my life. Like I changed my diet and all these things, trying to be a better me. And but the thing was like I didn't do the work to get to the top of the mountain. I was just dropped there. So
Wow.
it didn't really last for me. It kind of
Mhm.
faded. I like went
Mhm.
back into my old habits and pretty much got back to where I was
Mhm.
before the experience.
Mm.
But
Right,
I had to work my way. I had to get
yeah,
back to the top of the mountain, but I had to do the work to get there. And
right.
that's where I'm at now, is I'm doing the work, trying to
Wow.
get back to that place, that
Yes, yeah,
that
yeah. So,
wonderful oneness that I felt. And I've gotten I'm getting there.
yeah. So when you mentioned the yin yang, I sketched this. Did it look anything like this at all?
Now, like a traditional yin yang, put another circle in there, like hold on, I got a paper, I can draw one.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, a yin yang. You know, hold on, I got a pencil here. One more.
There are different kind of representations of it, right? By the way, I'm
Right.
not I'm
Well,
not the best artist, so I just
right.
little
But
sketches.
yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. Yeah, I mean you know what I'm talking about. I mean,
The polarizing energies, I suppose, is what it was kind of representing. And yes,
right, exactly. Little good and all bad, and little bad and all good, or that's one way of expressing it.
there are so many metaphors to that dualism, I think. And
I think that's what you were trying to draw.
yes, that's the one. Yeah, I had it in the center, but yeah, that's right. That's
Yeah.
right. And then I suppose the oneness, it's because I've just come off of some biogeometry training today, and they had the kind of the core symbols. I'm kind of in this centralized
Oh,
mode.
you're freezing up on me. Right. Yeah. I got you.
Yeah.
You're
So
breaking up a little bit there.
I'm sorry. Yes. So yeah, this
That's
biogeometry training. Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, yeah. So you actually saw that. That's quite
yeah,
fascinating.
but I mean, it wasn't really black and white like that, but of course it was just, I mean, like I said, it wasn't really a vision. It was a vision. I mean,
Yeah.
thinking about it, of course, my mind creates an image,
Yes.
but there wasn't so much as I was seeing, or it was a feeling. It was like, I don't know if you've ever watched videos of people after like an ayahuasca ceremony. It's not really something you experience with your senses.
Mm.
It's more of a, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. There's no words really.
Like a knowledge, I guess, an inexplicable, but a certain knowledge with certainty.
Right. I
Perhaps.
mean, I mean, I watched a lot of documentaries and stuff on, like on Gaia. There's Psychedelica is a good one. I don't
Yeah.
know if I should reference things, but yeah, it's a series on psychedelics like mushrooms and
Yeah.
ayahuasca and
Yeah.
peyote and all these cocoa, with cocoa and because I know
Yeah.
they have ceremonies with those. But anyway, yeah,
Yes.
people always describe, they say
Yeah.
it's indescribable, I should say.
Yes, yes. I'm actually doing my first cocoa ceremony in Japan on the 21st this month, which I'm really excited about. And I started to research the significance of it because, of course, it's very common to do them in Bali, but the timing was never quite right. But I'm finally going to do one in Japan at this kind of superfood health place. But I was researching the significance of it and found out that it's also considered in kind of South America, especially where, of course, it's so prolifically grown, is that it has its own spirit. Like there's a
Yes, yes,
ceremony, right,
yeah.
attached to it. And I was like, wow, like no wonder chocolate's so integrated into our society.
Right, real. I mean, I just watched one not too long ago And it was going like each episode was a different experience, and Coco was one of them. The
Yeah,
cacao, or however you say it.
cacao. That's right. That's the
Cacao.
correct pronunciation. Yes, yes.
Yeah, but
Fantastic.
yeah, it's like yeah, like you said, it's got a spirit of its own. Its own
Right. Right. And then the
thing.
ceremony, I suppose, around that may kind of awaken that spirit. I just can't wait to learn all about it and how to also integrate it into, yoga workshops and that kind of thing. But coming back to this yin and yang, it's such a beautiful way for us to start these discussions, because even just earlier today I was into this biogeometry training, which is connected to ancient Egypt, of course, predominantly is this incredible knowledge that they had to connect to the heavens, and for the two dual points to actually the two sides to actually merge is the ultimate one, the ultimate being.
Yes,
And
right.
right, and that's actually where our conversation started when we first connected on the phone. Was we talked about one of your favorite books, which is
The Law of One. Is that the one you're talking
yes, yeah. Could you
about?
talk a little bit about why that book means a lot to you?
Really, it was just one of those things that I don't even remember how I got referenced to that book. It just came to me after when I started looking, like Buddha says, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear, or whatever. And it's just one of them things that I don't remember. Like I said, I don't remember. But I started reading it, and every bit of it just resonated with me deep. I mean,
Wow.
it was like, wow, where's this been, my whole life? Because like I said, I've always been a scientific guy. I need an explanation for stuff, just how does it work? And I want to know everything about it. And that book, the Raw Contact, it is very informational, and just the way that it's written. And it's really hard to read sometimes for, like, if you're not really into it. Like, I had a buddy of mine, I have like right now, I got a copy of it. Hold on. It's like $5, but I borrowed it from a buddy of mine.
Yeah.
He said that he's like, it's a dull read. He only got like halfway through the first book, because it's really hard to read, just because the way that Raw talks, it's a channeling is what it is.
Oh my goodness. So it's a series. Wow.
Hold on. Yeah, it's
the lot of one. Oh my goodness.
the Raw Contact. Yeah, there's 5 books, and like it's telling, it's a Q&A session, and
yeah.
it's one of the 3 people, one of them goes to a trance and channels an entity from a higher dimension called Ra, and it's, like I said, it's Q&A, and they just cover so much stuff that just, like, for me, being the analytic Virgo that I am, I need to analyze and just know as much as I can, and they delve deep into a lot of subjects, like several different subjects of esoteric, I guess what you call it, or spirituality, and it's just amazing. I mean, I praise that book. I recommend it to anyone that is looking for answers, and it helped me a lot. It really did.
Yeah, so higher dimensional beings, and there's a lot of material now that's kind of emerging, I guess, in the world, awakening towards at least the possibility. If I'm talking about
Right.
mainstream.
There's a lot
Yeah.
of channeling. I've been seeing a lot more channeling videos online. People doing channeling, but the channeling that they're doing, though, is different. The channeling in the book, I mean, is different than what's really starting to get in the mainstream now. The side stream, I guess it's not mainstream, but it's a different kind of channeling, from my understanding of what they say in the book. It's a deeper channeling, where Carla Ruckert, she actually left her body, and the entity would speak through her, whereas channeling now is the person doing the channeling is present, and they speak what they see or feel, or I don't know exactly how it works.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it like in the books, it goes on, and Carla, I mean, they did these channelings over like a couple year period, and
Yeah.
and it was having effects on her health, and you know, good and bad, and it was wearing on her, and because it was taxing her, because she was, you know, like her spirit was leaving her body and letting another entity use it. So I mean, imagine that would be pretty taxing on an individual. I mean, knowing what I know now, like you just said something like that to me, you know, 4 or 5 years ago, I'd have laughed at you and said, yeah, whatever.
I want to go back a little bit, Scott, to your accident. Something immense happened to you, didn't it? Like the real wake-up call, like you literally got thrown.
It's just this past September, I was on my moped, and I ran a yield sign, because I live in a small town where there's only yield signs, there's no stop signs. And because it's really a small town. And it was dusk, getting dark, and I ran a yield sign, got hit by a truck. It was more like, it was a side by side. I don't know if you know what that is. It's like an off-road truck. And yeah, and the way it hit, like I hit dead center of the front of it, and it threw me off, and I landed on this shoulder, broke this shoulder and these ribs right here, and collapsed my lung when I landed there. But then I got this bone disease that causes my bones to fuse together, so I'm really stiff. So the impact, it broke my neck right here, and it broke my back and my spine, lower spine, and middle spine in 2 places. It shattered my pelvis and punctured my femoral artery and broke my femur and my tibia, and from head to toe, I was like, I went from here to here, and I mean, it was a mess. And anyway, I you know, only for a brief instant, when I hit the ground, I couldn't catch my breath at first, and that was the only time that I ever thought for a millisecond that I was going to die. After I caught my breath, I was in a lot of pain, but I've death, dying, or any of that never once entered my mind. I knew with 100% surety that I was going to be okay.
Yeah, wow.
And so, I mean, really, I wasn't smiling through the, you know, through it all, because I am a big baby. I don't do well with pain. I was crying and screaming, but
I can imagine, it sounds horrific.
And it was, I mean, it was bad. I mean, but I mean, I like to say that even though I was in pain and screaming and crying, I was still me and my good spirits, you know, trying to make people laugh and reassure them everything's going to be okay. And and I don't know why, you know, now looking back and I think about it, and I was like, I don't know why I was so sure. But I am. I feel, you know, I'm sure that, you know, spirit's got my back. So
that's amazing. There's a beautiful talk by Gabrielle Bernstein, which is one of my favorite talks in the world. It's very powerful. It's called "The Universe Has Your Back."
Yeah, it definitely does. And like I was telling you, when I was telling you about it, that whole accident, I believe, was an answer to my prayers. I mean, it was the universe giving me what I wanted, because I had gotten into a spot where my kids, you know, they've always lived with me, you know, but they had moved in with their mother, and we kind of hadn't hung out or done very much together in like a couple of years. And I was like asking source, the universe, I was like, this, you know, I want a way to spend more time with my kids and, you know, reconnect with them. And then that accident happened. And well, when I got out of the hospital, I usually live alone, and I couldn't when I got out of the hospital, so I needed a place to stay. And of course, my ex-wife, being awesome as she is, she let me come stay with them. And and so, you know, so put me right in the same house with my kids. You know, it was like, so I think it was the universe answering my prayers.
So it kind of brought you back together for that unity. That's really beautiful, actually. There's a guy called Ajahn Brahm, who is a British monk. He's based in Perth, Australia, and I sometimes join his talks or his online lectures. and he talks about how beautiful an opportunity it is when we're in kind of ill health or something tragic happens to us, because it actually gives us the opportunity to see the best in other people who reach out to care for us, you know. And
yeah,
it's so
absolutely. I
true.
love that.
It's so true, isn't it? I think it really, it filters things out, and it allows us to kind of see, just like this beautiful sunshine coming through my window now. It really allows us to kind of to shine a light on, and to really see what's important, and also I
Right.
think to prioritize our life. Yeah.
Yeah, really. I mean, that's great. I love that. I mean, and it's absolutely right. It's at those times when, you know, the love is most abundant, you know. It's most readily there, and just, you know, you can almost, it's almost tangible.
Yes. Yeah.
I love those moments.
So, yeah, it almost gives us kind of, I guess we could frame it as like a glimpse of truth, a glimpse of
Yeah.
truth, a glimpse of the love from the people, and the strength of people's character as well.
Maybe a glimpse of what it could be, or what it, you know, what it will be soon.
Yes, yeah, yeah, in the next dimensions and stuff. So yeah, this
No, I mean in the years to come, because it's there's a shift happening, and we're getting there. And see, one
right.
day soon, that's my dream, is that one day soon, that, you know, that compassion and love that people show at those times, they show it all the time, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right,
we're,
right.
we're, we're approaching that moment,
Yes,
you know.
it is.
It's
There is an awakening. More and more people are talking about it, getting interested in it, and that's why I'm so excited to have you join. I would love to share my screen. I'm just going to try something new here. I'm actually going to share my email if I can. No, actually, I'm going to go straight to WordPad. I actually just want to get your reaction to this, because these are just a few notes from one of the lectures that I've just come out of. I'm just buzzing. I'm all about the biogeometry today. So
Can you zoom in?
I'll be mentioning that. Let me see here. Can I'm not sure what you can actually
The bottom,
see.
the bottom right, the plus sign.
Is it here? Oh, thank you. Can you see my full screen?
Yeah, I see the menu and everything.
Okay, let me do this. That might be better. These are some of the
Yeah, I
slides.
mean,
Can you see this one? The chakra wormhole tunnels?
yeah, can you zoom in on it somewhere so I can?
Yeah, let me just how do I there's some things getting in the way here.
Yeah, that's good. That was good.
This is the problem, you see, being born in the 80s. I'm not exactly a computer
Yeah, I know.
prodigy, so
Me too. It's
do
like
you
there's
know
somewhere to make it full screen, you know.
do you know a shortcut for that? Like a keyboard
No,
shortcut?
there's a way to make it full
There's
screen,
a way
so
to do
that's
it
all.
from view. Let me go to view. Okay, here we go. Zoom in. Okay, there we go. I got there.
Uncheck the rule. See those check boxes? Uncheck the ruler. Uncheck the status bar. Get rid of those.
Thank you. Is that
And
is that good?
no, that's fine. I can see it.
That's great.
Can you zoom in a little
Just
bit more?
I
Keep
actually
going.
just wanted to get your reaction to this, Scott, because this is directly from my training today. Was this fascinating concept where the chakra wormhole tunnels and gates? This is this is one very strong theory for our experience here in the human body, which is the
Right.
multi-dimensional person, right? We talked about dreams the other day, and because I fundamentally believe they're portals to other dimensions that are not just figments of our imagination, but reality. So this biogeometry, which is connected to ancient Egypt, and pendulum energies connecting to other dimensions, it's totally possible for us to connect to other dimensions through sound. Sound and light are the portals, and sound and light are one. Actually, they're kind of the dualism that are actually one. And they're interchangeable.
Yeah.
So from music comes light, and from light comes music, depending on the direction of motion and time. So like multidimensional
Right. Right.
person,
I've actually
yeah.
heard some of this.
Oh yeah. So the different personalities, but the BG3 energy is the key portal energy. It can be achieved through a pendulum. And this is applicable to our life cycles and several lives. So this is the reincarnation theory, which a lot of us absolutely know to be true, or along the places of time moving matter along. So we have it's just nice to see a diagram of this for those of us who are scientifically minded as well. So I just wanted to get your reaction to that.
It kind of reminds me of that I recommended a book to you, The Ancient Secret of Flower of Life by
Okay.
Gabriella MCIJ. He goes into, and book volume 2 of that series, he goes really deep into the chakras and everything, and he relates them to sound and how everything is kind of related to sound and the octave system. But yeah, that really resonates with me. I can get down with this.
Yeah, so we talked earlier this morning my time, afternoon your time, I think,
Right.
or evening your time is.
Even, yeah.
What time is it there, Scott? So it's like almost 4 p.m. here in Japan.
It's almost 2 a.m. here.
Oh my goodness, right. I got it. Nocturnal, right? You said you're nocturnal.
Right.
So we talked a little bit about the octaves. You said something very beautiful this morning. We were talking about the symphony of the universe, which the universe is a song which we can hear through meditations. We can create song, we can produce sound ourselves, but there is an ongoing song that the universe
Right.
sings, like not only through its creatures like birds and any creature you can imagine making sound, but there is an actual song, there is a vibration that is going on all of the time. And that is something that it gives me so much hope. I don't know why, but I'm from a family of musicians. I'm a musician myself, and I just find it so beautiful to think of the life experience as a song, as a symphony.
You're right. Yeah, it is. That is beautiful. I mean, it's great. I love that. Love it when I hear that about, the universe being sound, because it just resonates. Everything, like that experience that I had, and I failed to mention that I was listening to music at the time, and I closed my eyes, so it was all complete blackness. So it was really the sound, the noise, the music that guided me and through all these different experiences. And because
Wow.
every time I there for a while I was doing LSD quite often, trying to get back to that state. When of course since then I realized that that you can't maintain it with the LSD. If you get there naturally, on your own, it's something you can live in that bliss. But anyway,
that's the interesting, that's the difference between you and I. We have a lot in common, but one thing is I've never done psychedelics in my life. I've never done any kind of drugs, actually. I guess alcohol is a drug, so I have done alcohol, but anything else than that I have not. But it's so interesting then to have these conversations, because we can kind of juxtapose our very different experiences with the higher dimensions. For my route, it's kind of through meditation, through very deep and long meditations. So I've kind of taken the long route to get
to. And it kind of like, it's like you're the way I see it would be like yours is based more on faith. It's just that, because I don't know if I hadn't been shown, just the way that I was shown that it was real. I don't know if I would have ever gone down this path, because my mind was locked in that state of, the way it was is science and just, what I learned throughout my life. And if I hadn't been shown, but, seeing since I had that experience, and then it's undeniable experience.
It's undeniable. I mean, there are certainly meditation states that are kind of undeniable too, because you kind of know what you're hearing or what you're seeing, and it blows my mind. And the thing is as well with these things, that they're unexpected, because when you start kind of expecting them, that's kind of when it tends to fade, at least in the more natural state of accessing the higher dimensions.
Right.
So it's one of those kind of, I like to call it like the cotton wool situation, when you're pulling on the cotton wool because you're impatient to kind of rip it off, but then suddenly like it doesn't work anymore. You have to really ease into it through relaxed kind of practices.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we're just on the last few minutes of this episode. So these episodes tend to run about 3/4 of an hour to an hour. We're also on a time limit with Zoom. So I'm
Really?
going to,
Has it been that long already? Wow,
yeah, so
time flies.
I'm going to start part 2 very shortly. So everyone who's watching, you've been watching the introduction with myself, Gabriella White and Scott Fields. We're delving deep into some spiritual topics. We're just scraping the very surface here. So we're going to be back in a few moments with part 2. And in this episode, you've just been watching a little bit about the background, just introducing Scott Fields to the series, just a little bit of background about our interest in these topics and where we're going to be taking them. But like I say, we're just scraping the surface here. Before we finish this introduction, Scott, could you just tell us very, very briefly about your role as a craftsman?
Oh, okay. Well, I've been a carpenter most of my life by trade, but I delve, I do throughout my jobs that I've had, I do just about anything. And so I call myself a craftsman or a handyman, and because I can fix just about anything if it's fixable,
Yeah.
And I just love to build things and just make things better.
Yes. You do carpentry too, right? That's one of your.
Yeah, carpentry. But yeah, I like craftsman. That's a good title. That'll work for me, because I like to make everything, a craft.
Yeah. Yeah, well,
Mm,
life is a craft, really. Life is many things. So
for sure.
we're going to be back in just a few moments with part 2, continuing with Scott Fields. Thank you everyone for watching. We're also going to be continuing this this mini slideshow of the biogeometry. So we'll get into that a little more briefly. So I'm just going to stop sharing this screen here. All right. So thank you for watching, everyone.